Atheist Nomads episode 438, War on Christmas 2021.
The podcast you're about to listen to includes cursing and talking about hoo-haws. Please be advised.
Welcome to another episode of Atheist Nomads. I am Dustin, and joining me is Lauren.
Hello.
All right, so with the change in the format, I came across an awesome War on Christmas story.
There we go.
That I can really go deep into it because of all the crazy stuff in it.
Oh my god.
But then do have one extra news story on it right after that. And yeah, this is going to be fun. Because when there's a news story where as soon as you pull back the top layer, it's just schisms all the way down. That's definitely something that just sucks me in.
Schisms.
So, are we ready to dig in?
Almost. I'm going to go get myself a drink.
Okay. Oh, and I got my Atheist Nomads mug and got eggnog in it. And if you want to get one of these, yeah, you can always go to the store, atheistnomads.com/store. And, you know, obviously the Christmas deals are running out, but after Christmas until New Year's, there's another sale. Not quite as good as the last one, but still pretty good, so check it out. Again, that's atheistnomads.com/store, so you can have an awesome mug to put eggnog in, because it's so much better to have eggnog in a mug that has atheist on it for the War on Christmas. Even if it is a little bit too late, there's always a second chance because of the Orthodox Christmas, which you even get 3 chances on that. January 6, 7, or 8, depending on which one you're doing. So that's the second chance War on Christmas.
Irish cream, butterscotch, and eggnog. and cut with milk.
Nice. All right, so right around the beginning of December, there was a memo posted on the website for the Greek Orthodox Patriarch of Jerusalem's website. This is posted by Theophilus III, who has authority over 130,000 Christians across the Middle East from his headquarters at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in the Old City of Jerusalem.
Okay.
And this was
official business.
Yep, this memo was saying, directing the priests, bishops, and probably the lay leaders of the mostly Palestinian churches that don't actually have priests to not actually do services for Christmas on December 25.
The head honcho said, don't celebrate Christmas on December 25th.
Yep, and that's because the Eastern Orthodox Church follows the religious calendar still follows the Julian calendar. While
where's Christmas on the Julian calendar?
January 7th, usually, but there's a little bit on the 6th, and it's on the 8th in Armenia.
Way to stick out, Armenia.
Uh-huh.
Armenians and their kooky Christmas.
Well, considering Armenia was the first ever official Christian state, yeah, I guess.
Yep.
So anyway, the memo is basically, you can't erase the Orthodox feast day of that day, which is the service of the saints Sphyridion, Bishop of Thermophilus, the Wonder Worker.
I'm sorry. Sounds like a fake wizard name. Thermophilus.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, okay. When you got Greek Orthodox saints, of course it's going to sound like a wizard.
Yeah, totally.
So he's saying, basically, you shall not pass.
Yeah. Terrible.
And the problem with this, and apparently he's done this before, but the problem is there has been an agreement in place for the last 45 years, actually 46 years now. It went into effect 1975.
Okay, wow.
For all Christians in Jordan, the Palestinian territories, and Israel to all celebrate Christmas on December 25.
So that's very recent that that's happened.
And to also So, yeah, Christmas follows the Gregorian calendar, and they also all do Easter on the Julian calendar, which is a week later than the Western Easter. So,
the Western Easter. Isn't that some kind of storm system?
So when you look at why did they do that split, it was, have all Christians in the region doing Christmas at the same time and doing Easter at the same time.
That makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And the split also makes sense considering Christmas is a national holiday in Jordan.
And that's something that a lot of Americans, I think, don't really understand, is that Muslims celebrate Christmas.
Yeah.
So Muslim countries have Christmas.
Some of them
have it as official holidays.
Because Muslims believe that Jesus was immaculately conceived and that Mary was a virgin. And so it was the virgin birth.
I mean, they're all the same amount of idiocy as anybody.
Yeah.
To believe that crap. But
now, they don't believe that he was the son of God, but was a special super divine person and the second greatest prophet, second only to Muhammad.
Right. That's worth celebrating. It's worth throwing a party over anyway.
Jerusalem matters to Muslims because they believe, well, for two reasons. They believe both that Jesus was not crucified because God wouldn't let that good of a person die, that he was translated up to heaven, and that Muhammad went to Jerusalem, climbed up to the top of the Temple Mount, stood on top of the meteorite that's in the middle of it, that's currently the rock in the Dome of the Rock.
Right.
And a Pegasus came down, and he hopped on the Pegasus and rode it to heaven.
You cheese it. Who wouldn't? God. I mean, do they say this stuff out loud to themselves every once in a while and say, we believe this?
So Jerusalem's important to Muslims, and Jesus is also important to Muslims. Jesus is mentioned in the Quran more than the New Testament.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you could almost even say that the Quran is more pro-Jesus than the New Testament is. And there's a chance that you could say that a lot of Muslims are more pro-Jesus than
most Christians are.
Modern American Christians.
Absolutely. I don't know about modern Muslims.
Yeah.
Theoretically on paper.
All right, so anyway, the fight here is,
what day should you hold Christmas celebration services?
Yeah. So there of course are people who are pissed off or just blowing it off.
Okay. Because he's done this before. Oh, he's a rabble rouser.
Yep. The Religion News Service actually got quotes from Nidal Kadish, who's a member of the Orthodox Central Council for Jordan and Palestine, telling them that United Holidays were agreed on by Christian leaders from all denominations and also got the blessing of Jordan's King Hussein. Like,
this isn't something you just go back on.
You don't just mess around with that. Especially when you consider that the Christians in Jordan, Palestine, and Israel are almost all Arab. King Hussein made a point of taking a part in that to make sure that Israel didn't trample on the rights of Arabs, including Arab Christians.
What? Israel trampling on people's rights? Nah.
They got a quote from Adeh Kawas, who is a member of Jordan's Senate and a Christian. Despite the fact that Jordan is like 97% Muslim, there is a region that has a decently high amount of Christians, and they do have guaranteed representation. Christians have guaranteed representation in Jordan's Senate.
Wow. Cool. How progressive.
Yeah. He said, any effort to reverse that is an attack on the will of the Christians in Jordan and that of His Majesty the King.
Has the king actually come out and said anything? I'm just curious.
I doubt Abdullah II has... I highly doubt Abdullah II cares.
Okay, yeah, this was his father's doing.
It was his father's doing, and Abdullah has more important things to worry about than a patriarch that everybody's going to ignore.
That's true.
And
Hashtag ignore patriarch. Burn the patriarch.
They also got a quote from Boutros Mansour, president of the Evangelical Council in Israel, who his big deal is just all Christians. There aren't that many Christians there. They all need to be doing the same holidays.
Yeah.
And one shouldn't try to change it. But one thing that has also been pointed out by a number of these people, the memo only applies to the official church service and makes a point that Orthodox Christians in the Levant should not be having religious Christmas celebrations on December 25.
Okay.
It does not say they can't have a secular Christmas celebration on January 25.
Any excuse to have a party.
Because just like how it is for a lot of other people, Christmas is superficially a Christian holiday, and in all practicality is entirely secular.
Yeah.
For the vast majority of Christians.
Yeah.
I know it was for me growing up, until I tried to ruin it in my theology student days.
Oh, boy.
But, okay, so there's a lot going on there, and I wanted to dig a little deeper.
Let's unpack this, shall we?
So, we need to start, and it's always tricky as to where to start. I'm going to go with the starting point being the Jewish-Roman Wars.
Which was when?
130 CE, Bar Kokhba Revolt.
Okay.
Was the final point when Christians, along with Jews, were driven out of Jerusalem and surrounding area.
Okay.
Shortly after that, Christians returned.
As they do.
And before long, they had a bishop. And by the Fourth Ecumenical Council in 451, they had a metropolitan. A metropolitan being a Orthodox archbishop who has more authority than just a archbishop.
Okay.
Who oversees multiple archbishops.
I hate it when words have different meanings in these contexts. It can be very confusing. So the Uber bishop.
The archbishop.
The Uber archbishop.
Yes. Superbishop.
Superbishop.
Yeah. Okay, so the superbishop shows up, and he's on the side of... He quickly gets, because of the debate and the fight with the Fourth Ecumenical Council, he was actually elevated to the level of patriarch, making him the fifth patriarch. And in order of precedence, they agreed on Rome was number 1, Constantinople was number 2.
Okay.
Antioch was number 3.
And the only reason I know Antioch is because of the reference in Monty Python's Holy Grail. The holy hand grenade of Antioch.
The current patriarch of Antioch can be found in Damascus, Syria.
Okay.
And Alexandria in Egypt.
Okay.
So those were the four. And then Jerusalem was 5th.
And along came this uppity...
Yeah.
Uber.
This is all despite the fact that Constantinople, the real order should have been Antioch, Alexandria, Rome, Constantinople, Jerusalem, if they'd been going off of the order in which they were created, but no.
Oh, well, no.
They were not.
That doesn't make sense.
They just put Jerusalem in last because it was the last one to be to join the club.
Right.
So...
Yeah, my eggnog's gone. That was smooth.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
So the 4 became 5, and the fight got even more heated, ending with the Chalcedonian Schism.
Ooh, our first schism.
This was the schism over whether Jesus had contained 2 discrete natures or his 2 natures were unified.
Okay, that old argument.
Yeah, that was the one over... does Jesus have
a
fully human and fully divine nature, or does he have a hybrid demigod nature?
Right.
The winning side, depending on your perspective, was the 2 discrete natures.
Yeah, well, the winning side said, fuck it, let's do 3.
No, that's a separate issue.
Okay.
That's the Trinity. The Trinity is different.
Oh, okay. It sounds like the same line of thought there, but okay.
That God is schizophrenic? Yes.
Yes.
Or not schizophrenic. That God has multiple personality or dissociative personality disorder.
There we go.
It was just the last disassociation to happen. They'd already separated God into two and then into three, and then they had to split the second one into another two. And since the Holy Spirit was kind of Christ's spirit, then yeah, it's complicated. That schism didn't fully settle out for a couple hundred years in all practicality. There was some debate for at least decades, even in Constantinople, and it wasn't fully decided where the church in Constantinople was going to side. But by the final resolution of it, Alexandria went non-Chalcedonian. The rest stayed with the Chalcedonian decision. So
the Chalcedonian decision being that there was two distinct
natures.
Okay, got it.
So at that point, you still have...
You gotta rehash some of this stuff.
Yeah, so at this point, the 5 patriarchs is back down to 4. Alexandria is gone. Now, despite...
What happened to Alexandria?
Alexandria is schismed off.
Oh, okay. They're the
Church.
non-Chalcedonian.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
gotcha.
still are non-Chalcedonian. The Egyptian... the Coptic Church... along with the Ethiopian Church and Syriac Church and the Assyrian Church.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And the Syriacs are actually a issue in this agreement on when to celebrate Christmas in Israel, Palestine, and Jordan.
Okay.
Syriac Christians are a minority group among Arab Christians in that area, but they are present.
They're present and they have opinions.
Yeah. And the Syriacs, they called the ones who followed the Chalcedonian decision Malkites as a pejorative, as they were the ones who followed the will of the king instead of God.
Those dirty bastards. Because
the final decision on the Chalcedonian Schism as to which side won was the emperor from Byzantium picking a winning side.
Oh, there was a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when he made that decision, of course,
the rest followed.
Patriarch of Constantinople was going to do what he said.
Yeah.
And Antioch, which wasn't very far away, was also going to do what he said.
Okay.
So yeah, this created the Malkite Orthodox identification, whereas from the West, we refer to the non-Malkite Orthodox from that region, Oriental Orthodox.
Okay. I guess I just didn't really like all the gemstone references. Chalcedonian, Malkite.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. That's pretty funny.
So then comes the Persian conquest of Palestine in 614. So the Byzantine Empire loses control of Israel and Jordan, modern-day Israel, Palestine, and Jordan. And Christians in that territory continued to hold on to the Greek and the Greek language and culture, and resisted efforts to assimilate into the Persian Arab culture. When the Byzantines lost the Battle of Yarmuk in 636, Syria fell to the Arabs.
Okay.
And the Malkite Christians in Syria took the completely opposite approach. They assimilated on everything except for religion.
Oh, so they went full, like, clothing, cuisine, language.
Yep. Just not religion.
Okay.
So they quickly became...
Very different ways of surviving.
They quickly became Arabs, while the others continued to identify for more than 1,000 years as Greek.
Okay. Opa.
That, of course, created some division between the Syrian Malkite Christians and the ecumenical patriarchs group up in Byzantium.
Yeah, some division.
Constantinople, because there was literally a national boundary there and a language barrier. Now, they continued to follow the Greek liturgy and do their church services in Greek, but the rest of the time they did everything in Arabic.
Okay. And that's still going on today, right?
They do their church services in Arabic now.
Oh, they do? Okay.
Sometimes. Sometimes it's in Greek, sometimes it's in Arabic.
Okay.
But we'll get to that more a little bit later when we get to their schism. So then
What, are we into three schisms now? Or are we still on the first?
We're still on the first.
Okay.
So then there's the second, the Great Schism, 1054, where Rome and Constantinople
broke up,
creating Eastern Orthodoxy and Roman Catholicism.
Okay.
Then in 1098, the Patriarch in Constantinople, as well as the Emperor in Constantinople, asked the Pope to send armies to help save them from the Turks.
Okay. So that didn't last very long.
They sent armies who decided to conquer Jerusalem instead.
Oh, fuck them.
And then sack Constantinople. And led to the fall of Constantinople. But in 1099, the Crusaders successfully conquered Jerusalem.
Okay.
And exiled the Patriarch of Jerusalem. They retook...
He was still just hanging out. Proud of himself for being the Patriarch. It's like, yeah, I made it, guys. Oh, shit, I've been sacked.
They retook Jerusalem for Christians and kicked out the leader of the Christians in Jerusalem.
Wow.
Because he spoke Greek.
Right. Not Arabic, because they were still doing Greeks, but...
Yeah. So he goes...
those guys.
So he fled, and... Okay, at least they didn't kill him. They killed a lot of...
He had a head start.
They killed a lot of the Greeks in the Middle East because they just went through and slaughtered everybody.
Right. They killed everybody indiscriminately.
Yeah. Including tons of Christians. And then they appointed a new patriarch who was French and spoke Latin to be the Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem.
Okay.
Well, of course, as we all know, the Crusades, after initial success, didn't last forever. And in 1087, Arabs retook Jerusalem. And along with the Crusaders fleeing, the Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem fled with them.
Right.
And went to Rome.
Okay.
And just like they had continued appointing Greek Orthodox patriarchs of Jerusalem from Constantinople, they then continued appointing Latin patriarchs of Jerusalem in Rome.
Oh, okay. So they fled, ended up in Rome, and just kept it up.
Yep.
Okay.
Until 1847, when the Ottoman Empire...
Oh, that's quite the jump.
Granted approval for the Latin Patriarch of Rome to return to Jerusalem. Or, excuse me, to allow the Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem to return to Jerusalem.
Oh, ending the exile, huh?
Creating a situation where there are two patriarchs of Jerusalem.
The Latin one and the Greek one?
Yes.
Okay.
There is about to be a third. This is it. This gets fun.
The schism.
This is where we get to the Malkite Orthodox Church with the Patriarch of Antioch operating out of Damascus, speaking Arabic and doing some services in Greek. In 1724, Cyril VI Tannis was elected Patriarch of Antioch, so head of the Malkite Orthodox Church in Syria. But Patriarch Jeremias III of Constantinople was concerned that Cyril was too pro-Western.
Okay. Oh, so now we get political.
So, fearing that Cyril would undermine Jeremias excommunicated Cyril, declared his election to be invalid, and ordained a Greek by the name who was a hierodeacon. He was Sylvester of Antioch.
Sylvester. Can't take these guys seriously.
And declared him to be Patriarch of Antioch.
Okay.
Sylvester went way more heavy-handed than any patriarch had in that area, at least in a long time. And
wait, what happened to Cyril?
Cyril was
excommunicated and just
Cyril was in hiding.
Okay.
While Sylvester actually got the backing of the Ottoman Turkish army to help put down anybody who was still supporting Cyril.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You are the brute squad.
That didn't last all that long because, 5 years after Cyril was initially elected, Pope Benedict XIII wrote him a letter fully recognizing him as Patriarch of Antioch and recognized him and his followers as being in full communion with the Catholic Church.
Oh.
He accepted that.
Okay.
Making it the Malkite Orthodox Catholic Church.
Okay. So Cyril escaped from Sylvester.
Uh-huh.
But was recognized by the Pope.
It was recognized by the Pope.
So he managed to get his own church.
He got his own church.
Meanwhile, Sylvester is still...
Sylvester had other parts of the church.
Yeah.
And they continued to appoint... The Patriarch in Constantinople continued to appoint patriarchs of Antioch till 1899. So again, you've got the patriarch that's recognized by most as the patriarch, and then you've got the patriarch that other people recognize.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Pope gave the Patriarch of Antioch approval to take on the other titles that had been lost due to schism.
Oh, okay.
Including Patriarch of Jerusalem, even though there was a Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem sitting in Rome.
They could have just let it die.
And Patriarch of Alexandria.
Oh my God, they could have let that one die. But no, they had to... It's like, no, you know what? You get all of these new titles too. Old titles. Get these old titles.
At present, the Malkite Orthodox Catholic Church has the majority of Arab Christians in Israel, Palestine, and Jordan.
Okay.
60%.
Okay.
About 42% of all Christians in Israel. Because apparently there are some non-Arab Christians. There's some Jewish Christians in Israel.
Right.
Because of course there are.
Because, yeah.
And so it's a significant portion of the Christian population in Israel and in Jerusalem. The current Patriarch of Antioch, using the titular role of Patriarch of Jerusalem, has competing Orthodox claim with the other patriarchs in Jerusalem.
Well, how many are there?
Well, there's the other two. There's the Latin Patriarch. There's a Latin Patriarch, a Malkite Patriarch, and the Greek Patriarch.
Oh, okay. That's right.
So basically, there's a Latin, Greek, and Arab patriarch.
They throw it down and have a battle royale, fisticuffs, and whoever comes out on top gets to just have it all. That's just stupid. Schisms they result in really weird lines of patriarchs, obviously.
So then there's the Greek Orthodox Church, which the Greek Orthodox Patriarch in Jerusalem, he has under his jurisdiction the Greek Orthodox Christians in the rest of the Levant and the Middle East, who are in communion with Constantinople, while the Malkite Patriarch has authority over all the ones that are in communion with Rome. Because, of course. And they've had some interesting problems in recent years.
Yeah, skip forward 100 years, 120 years.
Yes, we are jumping through a lot of time here.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Because
I don't want this to take 10 weeks.
That would be your other show that you would want to do.
Yes. In 2005, Patriarch Irenaeus, who's Greek, was stripped of authority and title by the Holy Synod of Jerusalem for selling church property in East Jerusalem to Israeli investors.
Wait. When did this happen?
2005.
2005. Selling off church property to Israeli.
In East Jerusalem.
Oh, God. Okay, so that's a big no-no.
That's a big no-no. One detail I've kind of missed. The Greek Orthodox Christians in Israel and Jordan and the rest of the Middle East are Arabs. Their priests and bishops and their patriarch are Greek.
Right, definitely Greek.
They're the Hellenistic Greeks of old that have just continued to use that title. No, that's gone away. That eventually died out. No, these are actual Greeks from Greece.
Right.
The Greek church exports.
They're exporting
Greeks
their leadership
because they have too many priests in Greece, so they export them to the Middle East.
Well, apparently theology is big business in Greece.
It has, I think they get 10% of the tax revenue of the state. Which their current atheist prime minister is not too thrilled with.
Yeah, well, welcome to the real world.
Yeah, so then, after Irenaeus gets kicked out, Theophilus III becomes patriarch. And this is in...
He's the rabble-rouser.
He's the rabble-rouser who issued the memo.
Yes, okay.
The timing of this, August 22, 2005. George Bush is president. The Iraq War is at a relatively low point in terms of not a whole lot of violence.
Okay.
Before a whole bunch more violence kicks up.
Yeah.
The Hamas had not yet taken over Gaza. It was a relatively peaceful point that wasn't going to be very peaceful for very long.
Right.
But when he got elected, the Israeli government refused to recognize him as patriarch and continued to only recognize Irenaeus. That recognition, theoretically, shouldn't matter.
Right. It shouldn't matter, but they were buddies, so of course they were going to throw a stink about it.
Well, generally, in the U.S., nobody cares what the president thinks of who was elected head of the Methodist Church.
Oh, yeah.
That's not a big deal. Well, in Israel, they made it a big deal by making sure that the old guy got to keep the bank accounts.
Because that's what it comes down to.
Yep.
He was selling
property.
There was obviously a lot of money tied up in this guy.
Uh-huh.
So for him to lose power, left these guys oh shit. Now they're holding the bag, so to speak.
In 2007, February 2007, two ministers of the Israeli government offered to recognize Theophilus if he handed over some property.
No, bad. Slap their hands. Stop it.
There is also some reports of some fraudulent real estate transactions between the Israeli government and the deposed patriarch after he was deposed.
Oh, he had all this property still. He had a lot of money probably tied to his name, not the church. So, yeah, he was still good wheel and deal.
In 2006, Israel refused to renew visas for the Greek clergy in the country.
So they were going to kick out all the Greek?
They were going to kick out all the priests.
All the priests. Oh, my God. What a debacle.
This ended up resulting...
Sorry, Debacles.
This ended up resulting in Theophilus applying to the Israeli Supreme Court to try to get help in getting civil recognition. And the court was supposed to give a decision in mid-2006, but just delayed and never made a decision.
Okay.
In May of 2007, the Royal Hashemite government of Jordan removed their recognition of Theophilus.
Really?
Yep.
They also owed money to the Israelis?
On June 12, 2007, the Jordanian cabinet decided to switch that up and recognize Theophilus again. So they removed the recognition for a month.
Okay.
I was in Jordan at that time. I remember what was going on right at that time. Hamas seized Gaza. Israel was bombing Gaza. Jordan was trying to keep it from turning into a full-scale war. And the tensions in the region were quickly rising. I bet Jordan offered that as a deal to Israel for them to go a little easier on the Palestinians, and then when Israel didn't, they reversed course.
Yeah.
It was a bargaining chip that ended up being
a bluff.
Not needed.
Yeah.
Finally, in December of 2007, the Israeli government granted Theophilus full recognition. Irenaeus, and I know I've pronounced his name like 6 different ways.
You're bound to get one of them close.
One should be pretty close. He appealed that decision to the Israeli Supreme Court, but the court finally issued a ruling that Theophilus was Patriarch.
Supreme leader. Yeah.
This has continued to... has really helped bring to light the issue that the Arab members have with Greeks running their church. But with the Greek leadership having support of the Greek government, the Israeli government, and the Ecumenical Patriarch of Constantinople, the chance of getting Palestinian priests is slim.
Yeah.
Because Israel would rather have Greek-speaking white people than Arabic-speaking Arabs in control of all of that land.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. It's the land and the money.
It's the church lands that in many cases they've held on to since before the Arab conquest. Some of those lands they've had forever. So, all of those details go in to help explain why would Theophilus say, no, we need to do Christmas the Greek way. Well, because he's Greek.
Because he's Greek. The name gives it away.
And all of the Arabs are saying, we want December 25th. But he's got Israel's backing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
For the one other news story, since that first one took only about 40 minutes.
Okay.
The second one is going to be much shorter. Donald Trump was interviewed recently by Mike Huckabee.
Okay.
Conservative Christian right-wing douchebag,
Blowhard.
former governor of Arkansas.
Yeah.
Mike Huckabee, who's on Newsmax now.
Of course, he is.
Which is, right-wing fake news.
Yes.
During the interview, Trump made the claim that before his presidency, Americans were afraid to say Merry Christmas.
Oh, God, bringing that back up.
Yep. Huckabee said during the interview, we went through a very long period where people quit saying Merry Christmas. You deliberately changed that. Trump's response was, quote, it was embarrassing for stores to say Merry Christmas. You'd see these big chains. They want your money, but they don't want to say Merry Christmas. They'd use reds, they'd use whites and snow, but they wouldn't say Christmas. And then he went on to say, quote, when I started campaigning, I said, you're going to say Merry Christmas again, and now people are saying it. End quote.
He's absolutely right. They're saying it in the most assholey way imaginable. That's because they're anti-inclusive. And Happy Holidays is the inclusive way of saying, greetings to this festive season. Whether you're Christian or Jewish or atheist or whatever. But fuck those guys. It's all about being Christian.
Stores were using Happy Holidays, and a lot of stores are still using Happy Holidays because they're wanting to they want the Jew gold.
Okay.
Okay, I know that was a horrible thing to say, but yeah, they don't want to alienate. They want to be able to get Hanukkah included in that, to get in hopes that Jewish people will be buying gifts for 8 nights of presents. That's a big factor in doing that's the reason to be doing Happy Holidays and not Merry Christmas for a store.
Yeah, because profit is the bottom line, not people's feelings.
any stores that have switched back to Merry Christmas is because they don't want a Trump supporter spewing COVID particles into their faces.
Yeah, I just heard a commercial on the car radio this afternoon where they were going off on something about, 'tis the season to lay down yourself in front of God, and that's what the season's all about, and happy holidays. Oh wait, we mean Merry Christmas. And I'm like, comes Car Corral. Done. I will never set foot on them and near them again. Or Dylan Baugh's furniture or flooring or any of those other Christian assholes that's just like, if you don't want my business, then I will not give you my business.
Yeah.
But don't complain when people start complaining about how you're treating them.
Now, the stores that are going that far would have never stopped saying Merry Christmas.
They never stopped in the first place.
Holiday advertising.
No.
And any others that might have, it's because they don't want their sales associates getting assaulted.
Right. Their freaking baristas don't want to deal with the tirades of, fuck you, it's Christmas. Because all I think about is that South Park episode where he's singing about the teacher's singing the Merry Christmas song. And it's just like, oh, God, such assholes. Good times.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we don't have any new feedback.
Okay.
Or any new patrons.
Okay.
If you want to contact us, use the contact form or speak pipe button on the website at atheistnomads.com. And if you want to give us money, well, you can find the links.
Please do.
At atheistnomads.com/donate. So until next week, remember, not all those who wander are lost, and Merry fucking Christmas. Thank you for listening to another episode of Atheist Nomads. You can find show notes and contact information at atheistnomads.com. Follow us on Twitter at Atheist Nomads, and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/atheistnomads. Please subscribe to the show in iTunes, Stitcher, or your podcatcher of choice, and while you're there, feel free to leave us a review. Theme music is courtesy of Sturdy Fred. Until next time, this has been the Atheist Nomads.